Welcome, welcome. This is Rain, desperately trying to get caught up with all my writing vlog content from the summer. In June and July, I did not do very well with vlogging, but what I did do is write a crap ton and record my coffees and teas every time I went to a cafe, which was a lot. I also filmed my little zinnia and Cosmo flower garden a lot, so together we're going to get to relive the progress of my flowers and my unhinged writing progress in the month of June, followed by a really productive July. Basically, every day I was writing from 4:30 to 6 p.m. after work, with multiple hours dedicated on Saturday and Sunday to writing as well. The only problem here is that I have way too high of a word count for what my goal was, so now I'm dealing with the repercussions of this issue months later, trying to restructure my act 2 so that I can work with like 20,000 less words. But hey, all writing matters. I know my characters so much better now, and this version of the book, my second draft, really solidified big parts of the plot that were sort of in flux before. So these words aren't wasted, even if I'm shaking my head at some of the word counts now as Rain from the future. Also, these are net word counts because I'm tracking it using Scrivener and tried to reduce a lot of unnecessary words as well. Here's to hoping the next draft has a ton of negative word count days, and it really should, speaking as Rain from the future. As you'll hear from me, from past me really, in just a few moments, word count is pretty unhelpful for judging progress during revisions, but can't help it. It's an easy thing to reach for. For others, though, I would suggest focusing on a number of chapters or scenes that are revised as maybe a more useful measure. And finally, we have my flowers blooming in the garden. The beginning of July is when I started to get really excited because I couldn't believe how immersed I had been in June, and I was finally getting to scenes well past the midpoint and could just really taste the end of draft 2 coming. My goal was to get it done by August 1st or August 8th, the latest, which is when my Michigan road trip with my mom would start. Stay tuned for clips of that trip at the end of this video, but for now, let's hear what past me has to say about this draft. It is 10:20 on Saturday, July 5th, and I realized I have 4 Francesca scenes left to write, or rewrite really, and revise for some of it for this first half of the book, so up until the midpoint or the end of Act 2A really, and I want to get it done. I want to be finished with this first half of the book. I also am so concerned about my word count. I'm not even going to say what this draft is at right now. I will. It's so embarrassing because this is so bad. Before, I think it would have been, in my first draft, it was around 65,000, which is a little bloated for this first half. The first half has always been bloated. Now in this revision, it's at 89,000 so far, and I haven't even added these last 4 scenes, and that's really bad. I don't know if the second half will be bloated through revision again as well, or like if revision will add a lot more. It should add a lot more words to the second half, unfortunately. So I feel like I'm gonna end up with 130k words, which is not gonna be good. And my first draft was around 108,000, which I was like, okay, longer than I wanted, but I can handle it. But I knew that going through revision was going to be adding a lot because I'm not very good at describing things, like setting description, and there's a bunch of things that were just kind of glossed over anyways, the way you do in a first draft, and I knew I was overwriting it. So the fact that I was overwriting it and at 110-ish K, I knew that. I thought that I was going to be able to delete so much and combine scenes, but really this revision has been about adding scenes and replacing scenes with longer ones. But I'm kind of telling myself that this second draft is still about making the story make sense, and thus it can be kind of long, and then I can cut it, hopefully, and zoom out again for the next draft and be like, really what is needed to tell the story. And really, can't I combine these scenes somehow? I don't know. But, I don't know, I have to do something tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go brunch with a local writer, freelance editor friend. That'll be fun. So I don't really need to be up too late, but I really want to get this. I want to be able to be like done, and then tomorrow night, if I have time, I could just think about what I'm gonna do with the next half, because I really wanted to be finished by August. By like the end of the first week of August is technically my real date, but I would like to do by August. I have some fail saves if I need to push it, but I wanted to be done by August, and I'm like, okay, I have 26 scenes left in the next half. That's about as much. That's not the next half. That's the next part of Act 2. So Act 2B has about 25 scenes left, which is about how many days there are left in July. I don't think I'll need a scene per day. I can work. I don't know. It will take a lot of diligence, and then there's still the finale part, Act 3. Act 3, I wrote all like 14,000 words of it, which is a little too short. I'm gonna like move some part of Act 2B into that, which is not, but then why is Act 2A so big? I gotta adjust where this midpoint is, I think. I don't know. But I don't know. Either way, I wrote all of Act 3 in like a week period, like probably a few days, over a few hours, if we're being honest, because it was like, it's a very, very quick pace at the end. So I'm hoping that I can do the same thing with the revision, except it will be rewriting it again. A lot of this has been not just revision, but like rewriting, because it's just easier, I think, to ditch a lot of these scenes and just kind of like approach it anew. Otherwise, you hold on to those original draft scenes too much, and like it's just kind of like it slows you down. It's unnecessary. So I don't know. We'll see. I've also not been recording these vlogs. Sorry. I've just been taking B-roll of me at coffee shops. I don't know. Those scenes, but I did realize I only needed one scene left, not two. Technically, I kind of combined that, so that's good. And I'm working on it, but it's going to be a longer chapter slash, I guess maybe it will be 2 scenes in the end, but it was going to be 2 distinct different chapters, so different scenes in that sense, but now it's going to be 1 chapter, 2 more similar scenes, if that makes sense. And then I'll be done. I'm gonna finish this tonight. And then as much as I really want to get working on the next half so bad, as much as I want to dive into that in order to get this draft finished by August 8th at the latest, I need to go back to Act 1. And just the last part of Act 1, the last half of Act 1, I need to rewrite one more time. In this one, it'll be much more of a revision. And it's because I'm sending that last part to my critique group. Since I have properly sat here and spoken with my camera about my writing updates. I haven't really been talking about my current writing progress in July, and it's July 12th, so what better time? I have a lot of going to cafes and ordering the same thing or similar things and getting 1,000 or so words done. They're not very interesting clips. Every time I do it, I say, oh, I'm gonna need a clip of me writing in the cafe. And every single time I feel too awkward to do it. I have one cafe in particular that's been kind of my hyperfixation cafe at the moment. Since I haven't been documenting my daily progress with my camera, I will really quickly go through my stats on Scrivener. I will say, I think I've been doing pretty well. For July 1st, I have 1295, July 2nd, 1198, July 4th, 1500, July 5th, 1968. I didn't get much done the 6th. July 7th, I got 1,400 words. July 8th, 2,600 words. July 9th, I got 900 negative. Most of these positive word counts, while I have been revising, they are actually positive word count. That end of June period and the beginning of July was a lot of writing new scenes for this revision and also completely overhauling old scenes from the first draft. So a lot of those are true word counts. There's some, it's hard to count that in Scrivener. Honestly, I would say if anything, I probably have more words on average than this, which is bad because the whole point of this was that I was supposed to be getting rid of a lot of words too. I thought I was gonna be, but it's fine. This is about making it make sense and not about cutting words apparently. July 10th, that's Thursday, I got 1,100 words. And then today, it's a Saturday, I've gotten 1,900 words done. I wanted less down. To be fair, the 1,900 words that I wrote were 2 different scenes and it involved cutting a good portion for one scene. But for the first scene that I worked on, it wasn't really its own scene. It was an addition to another scene that I had wanted to shorten. So it doesn't really matter. It's either way, it's fine. It says I have 12,000 words written in July, which is kind of crazy. It's only the 12th. If I was like in drafting mode, I think I would feel really good about this. But since I'm in revision mode, I'm like, 12,000. It's only July 12th. And I felt like I was extremely productive in June. And June, I have it down that I wrote 19,000. And I think that might also be inflated because there was a lot of moving scenes over in Scrivener that might have added like to a new project file. The way that I did that was not copying and pasting any scenes in, it was just copying it over the project, and Scrivener doesn't count those as new words. So it's possible 19,000 is the amount that I wrote, but it doesn't, this is why measuring words when you're revising is so meaningless. Like I don't even know why I care about it. It's just trying to track, right? But I don't even feel good about it because half the time I want it to be lower. Let's see if I can see how many scenes I've done in July. As I was saying in my last video, I don't know if I actually updated it, but I did end up getting past that halfway point in the story later than I had planned. I have 2 chapters past that. Actually, I have 3 chapters past that, so that's pretty good. I'm 3 chapters past the midpoint. So given that I am 3 chapters past the midpoint, how am I feeling? Well, my word count is way too high for where I'm at. I don't even want to say it. It's so bad. It's 95,000. It's insane. And there's just too many scenes. In my mind, I don't know. There was a lot in this revision where I was trying to really make the transitions make sense and to make the character arcs and the cause and effect move as the plot moves forward feel really like real and make a lot of sense. There was a lot of things beforehand where they were happening, but I didn't see the cause and effect there. And I tried to do this in a way where my scenes were all doing double and triple duty, but I guess I did not do that very effectively because there's just no way possible that I need all of these scenes or all of these words. That's okay, because I'm sure that what a lot of it is, and this is always what it is, tends to bulk up any of my scenes that get kind of long, is unnecessary interiority. And that's for me. That's for me learning to understand what the character feels, and I can carry that forward, but I don't need all of it to say, hopefully. And hopefully that can be what I remove easily in the next round. But the problem is I'm still missing important stuff. Not scenes really, but I always am lacking in terms of description and setting description. So part of me is like 95,000 words and I know I'm missing details for setting and character description. I even if this draft ends up at like 120,000 words, it could be more. No, it can't. I don't know. It's also possible that I'm truly misunderstanding my own structure, which to me seems impossible given how much I've focused on the structure of the story at this point, but it's possible. I don't even like talking about it because I know that it's way too big. You don't have to tell me. I know that it's bloated, and I know that I have too many scenes. It's just that the scenes are long. They are. I cut them down, but I have too many. So that means they need to be combined and do multiple things at once. But they were already doing multiple things at once. So that's what I thought, at least, when I added them. But that's, as a math person, I'm having a hard time because the math does not seem to work out here. But I'll have to figure it out. But the problem is that there's 3 characters and I'm truly trying to balance all 3 of them having full arcs this time around. That's not what happened in the first draft. It's hard, especially considering that they're not all in the same place or the same time. So it's not like a lot of the growth can happen for them in each other's POVs, if that makes sense. Like you can't have one character pick up where the other one's left off making progress from both of them in that same scene, like you might be able to in a dual POV where they're kind of together the whole time. That doesn't happen here. For two of them, there is some overlap in that, and they can share those pivotal moments in growth, but not entirely. I'm hoping to get around 2 hours done today, and I'm actually at 4 about to sign on to a Teams call with one of my critique partners and see if we both can have some body doubling, writing accountability time to get us going. Started the day with a migraine. It's mostly gone now, which is really great. Hopefully that doesn't mess with my ability to think and coherently write and rewrite. In terms of where I am, I'm at the very end, not the very end. I'm over halfway done with Act 2B, so that's the second half of my Act 2. I'm about halfway through that, and I am skipping a little bit and moving toward the end tonight, just because there's some stuff that I think needs to be fixed in a little bit of a restructuring sort of way, but I don't want to waste time on that now. I know what the changes are going to look like, so I'm just going to move forward as if I've made those changes. It involves moving a scene from earlier on, and I don't want to make myself go back and work on an earlier scene that I've already worked on, because I feel like that's just going to put me steps back progress-wise. Save it for later. I'll come back to that later. But for now, I'm going to keep moving on in Act 2B and get to kind of the big climax scenes right before everything really falls apart. So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited to write with my friend. It is 6:11. So that's basically 2 hours, except we only did 2 30-minute sprints. That to me is fine. That is great. I love talking with my critique partners because we basically almost like 90%, 95% of our conversations revolve around writing. So revolve around our stories, and we kind of all know each other's stories pretty well. It was so fun. I love writing with friends, especially friends when you've read their work, so you get to be excited about the parts that they're working on. For what I wrote, I actually got a good amount done. I thought I was mostly gonna edit a scene that was gonna mostly stay the same. I did end up needing a new scene to write to kind of transition into that scene that I was leading into. So that transition scene was 753 words, which is great. And then I led back into the actual scene, which I still had to rewrite a good chunk at the beginning because the original beginning didn't make sense anymore. And that ended up being 500 words, 555 words. So how much is that together? So that's about 1,300 words. And then I went and inserted the part of the old scene that's still gonna be mostly the same after that. I've not edited it yet. It's still in its raw form, so I need to go through and revise it later, and that's what I think I'm gonna do later on tonight. But just to kind of give an idea of how long it is, that portion is about 385 words. It'll probably be a little bit longer after I'm done with it. I think I need to go on a walk really quick because otherwise some storm clouds are gonna show up if I don't go. Hopped on a call with my critique partners again to do some writing sprints, and we did 2 30-minute writing sprints. I finally got to the point where things are hitting the ground, things are moving. One of my main characters just got caught breaking and entering in a very stressful situation, and so from here on out it should be pretty fast. I really think it will be. Even in terms of revising, I don't think there is that much that I need to rewrite from scratch. There's a little bit up until Act 3, the finale. I think I might have to rewrite all of that from scratch, but that's fine. That's the finale, and also it's shorter, so I'll honestly probably be pretty lenient on when I call this second draft finished when it comes to the finale. I don't think I'll spend that much time on it. I think I'll probably outline all the changes that need to happen and make the barest change as possible, and then call that draft finished and go ahead and take a break, come back, reread through everything, and start restructuring, with my focus on restructuring the finale based on anything else that because there's so many things that I think I need to change about the finale, but some of it I think would require a full reread, really make it hit, and I can't really achieve that at this moment. I want to go ahead and put in those changes that I know I can make now, call the draft finish, and then come back to that and maybe start my next draft with a focus on the latter half of the book. But we'll see. I ended up getting 3 hours total yesterday, which is great. And I got like 4 scenes revised, I think. Maybe 3? I think 4, which is really great. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get back to work today. It's Friday. I don't think I have my critique partners joining me for sprints today, so I might go to a coffee shop after work and get an hour done there and then come home and get some more done. So hopefully a lot more. I'm thinking like 4 hours tonight. It's Friday, so I can stay up a little bit longer. I had a really productive night last night, so I might be looking at another productive session to end the night. Scenes written, and I hadn't finished a scene earlier before that outside. So, and these are pretty important scenes, really bad stuff's happening, but yeah, so getting very close to the end here. We're really excited about that, so hopefully we can keep that momentum going. Fingers crossed. I think I might finish Act 2B today. So Act 2, I'd be finishing Act 2 today if I'm really diligent, at least. I mostly had scenes that did not have to change very much in terms of plot yesterday, and so that really helped with the momentum. I did stop the last scene that I almost finished. I did stop towards the end because towards the end something changes a lot, and I was fading. I was so tired, so I was like, you know what? If this is going to change a lot right here at the end, I want to approach it tomorrow with more of a like fresh brain, fresh eyes to like really sell this big chain that I would like to go there. So we'll see. Hi. Are you saying hi? What's going on? Oh, good job. I would like to see if I could get maybe like 30 minutes of writing done really quick, or just finish the scene that I was starting to like play with the big changes of last night. I feel pretty comfortable that I'm going to finish Act 2 this weekend. My cat's coming over now. Oh god. You wanna poke your head down? Yeah. Okay. Finishing Act 2 will be great. Leaving time to start planning out what I want to fix in Act 3, which I already know a little bit of what I want to fix in Act 3, but I'd like to revisit it now that I've gone through so much in Act 2. Act 3 is pretty short. Probably needs to be longer, but, you know, we'll figure it out. Act 2 needs to be a whole lot shorter, so it is what it is, all right? Okay, let's get to work. Are you going to help, or are you going to distract? Which one is it? Voiceover Rain is jumping in here as we are at the end of my little vlogs while finishing this draft. The TLDR is I spent that whole first week of August leading up to my Michigan trip finishing those last scenes. Didn't film anything, but I did it. And then on August 9th, my road trip to Lake Michigan towns and the Upper Peninsula with my mother commenced. So enjoy these clips at the end here as a treat for getting through the last 20 minutes or so of me writing way too many words. In terms of where my draft stood at this point, I did exactly what I said. I focused on being very detailed and outlining the finale, but I didn't actually rewrite or revise it because I already had ideas for changes for the first half of the book and the next draft that would impact the finale. So I just did that and I called it, and I stand by that. And when I say the AuthorTuber Natalie Jane Shields' videos of the summer actually inspired me and reminded me that I get to call a draft done whenever I want to. So yeah, as I suspected, the draft was way over the word count, and very specifically, all that work I did in Act 2A, well, I'm basically once again rewriting it in the late fall, so yeah, we'll talk about that later. Let's end on a happier note. Yay for finishing draft 2. Yay for Michigan. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching my video. Please make me feel better in the comments with stories of crazy word counts that you managed to combat. Like and subscribe to catch my next video on draft 3 revision planning, and hopefully by then I have a little bit of a better update for you.